Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 6. Dukam Sukam Vyatiriktam Sativram Kalo Papanam Valamavyanapti Alingya Maya Chitantaratma Swadhinam Samsmiti Chakrakutaha. Increase the size. Oh, okay. Dukam. Unhappiness due to impious activity. Sukam. Happiness due to pious activity. Vyatiriktam. Illusion. Cha. Also. Tibra. Very severe. Kala upanam. Obtained in the course of time. Phalam. The resultant action. Avyanakti. Creates. Alingya. Embracing. Created by material nature. Antaha Atma. The mind. Swadehinam. The living being. Himself. Samsmriti. Of the actions and reactions of material existence. Chakrakutaha. Which deceives the living entity into the wheel. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The materialistic mind, covering the living entity's soul, carries it to different species of life. This is called continued material existence. Due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness. Being thus illusion, the mind further creates pious and impious activities and their karma, and thus the soul becomes conditioned. Let's repeat. The materialistic mind, covering the living entity's soul, carries it to different species of life. This is called continued material existence. Due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness. Being thus illusion, the mind further creates pious and impious activities in their karma, and thus the soul becomes conditioned. Purport. Mental activities under the influence of material nature causes happiness and distress within the material world, being covered by illusion. The living entity eternally continues conditioned life under different designation. Such living entities are known as Nitabbada, eternally conditioned. On the whole, the mind is the cause of conditioned life. Therefore, the entire yogic process is meant to control the mind and the senses. If the mind is controlled, the senses are automatically controlled, and therefore the soul is saved from the reactions of pious and impious activity. If the mind is engaged in the lotus feet of Krishna, Savai Mana Krishna, Padhara Vrindayo, Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18, the senses are automatically engaged in the Lord's service, and the mind and senses are engaged in devotional service. The living entity naturally becomes Krishna conscious. As soon as one always thinks of Krishna, he becomes a perfect yogi, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam api sarvesham matkaten antaratma. 6.47 Bhagavad Gita. This antaratma, the mind, is conditioned by material nature. As stated here, Maya Rachitantaratma Swadehinam Samsmiti Chakrakuta. The mind, being most powerful, covers the living entity and puts him in the waves of material existence. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Chapitam Yena Bhutale Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishadhanvitam He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Taptaganjana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye Chakalpatrabhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Dhanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaram Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, this is the continuation of the instructions of Jada Bharat to Maharaj Raghugana. And as we already know the story, Jada Bharat, he is actually Bharat Maharaj, who has reincarnated as deer. So this verse is nice because it's talking about the mind. So how did Bharat Maharaj become a deer? This is due to the mind, because the mind was absorbed. You know, we go to the Bhagavad Gita. You see in the purport, Mana eva manusyanam karanam bandha mokshayo bandhaya vishaya sangur mukte nirvishayam manaha. For the mind, for the man, the mind is the cause of bondage, and the mind is cause of liberation. The mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and the mind detached from sense object is the cause of liberation. So whatever the mind becomes absorbed in, that you will become. So if the mind is absorbed in sense objects, in enjoying the senses, sense gratification, then you will, like how we see how Bharat Maharaj, even though he renounced everything to go to the forest and meditate on the Supreme Lord, his mind was absorbed in the thought of the deer. And by being absorbed in the thought of the deer, he attained that body. As today's verse shows how the mind follows the senses. But if that mind is again engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then it becomes liberated. So the mind is actually just a via medium. So how the mind works, we must understand. The mind, you can see here, in the third canto, Kapila Dev is explaining to his mother, Devahuti, of how these material elements were manifested. So of course, there are 24 elements. We are the Atma, which is covered by 24 different elements. So the first element comes is the Mahatattva. So of course, I'm not going to go into the full details. And from Mahatattva, how the things expands. And then comes the mind, intelligence, ego, then the earth, water, fire, air, ether, Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu. And then the soul is entrapped by all these 24 elements. So Sankhya Yoga actually is the process of analyzing these things. So you can see here, Vaikarikat, kurvanam manastattvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam. So you see the sankalpa vikalpa. The function of the mind is always to accept something and reject things. Vartate kama sambhavaha. So the false ego, so before the mind, there is false ego. You see, the Atma is controlled by this false ego. This false ego means to say, the real ego is to understand that I am not this material body. I am actually a part and parcel of Krishna. Jivere Swarupa hoy nitya Krishna das. I am a servant of Krishna. Even Krishna says in the Gita, Mame Vamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. This Jivatma is actually a part and parcel of me. Mame Amsa is my Amsa. But now he is Manashastrendriyani, Prakriti Stani Karshati. He is struggling with this mind and the senses. He is meant to be my Amsa, my servant, but being absorbed. How is he struggling? Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasa. Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham Iti Manyate. By this Ahankar, false ego, that covers the living entity, that covers his mind, his intelligence. False ego is covering everything. And we are acting in this false ego. So from the false ego of goodness, so what happens? Another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts are a reflection, gives rise to desire. So from false ego comes with the mixture of goodness, you get the mind. That is the manas, and that is represented by the planet moon. Okay, so he says sankalpa vikalpa. So the mind is always accepting something, rejecting something. Sometimes we say this is good, another time we will say this is bad. We can also see that in our life, right? Sometimes we think we want to do this is the best thing to do. Then after that we think this is very dumb, stupid, useless. So this is how the mind always, we cannot depend on the mind to make judgment, because it will always make judgment based on it's like an uncontrolled horse just running everywhere, right? So Prabhupada says here, the symptom of the mind is determination and rejections, which are due to different kinds of desires. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification and reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. So this is how it works. The material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed in engaged in Krishna consciousness. So like that we are hovering. So like sometimes we become a pig, sometimes we become a dog, sometimes we become a dolphin, sometimes we become a human. So this is going on and on and on, in very painful suffering. Right? So now, today we are talking also about the intelligence, right? The verse. So what is the intelligence? Taijasati tu vikurvanat buddhi tattvam abutsati dravya spurana vijnanam indriyanam anugrahaha. So by transformation of false ego in passion, so when the false ego is connected with passion, then comes intelligence. So mind is still in the goodness platform, you see. You can be somehow, so intelligence takes birth. So, virtuous lady, the functions of intelligence are to help ascertaining the nature of objects and they come into view and help the senses. But the intelligence actually can control the mind. If you train your intelligence, then you can drive the mind. Correct? So here Prabhupada says that intelligence is the discriminating power. So the discrimination comes in the platform of intelligence. It doesn't come in the platform of the mind. The mind, basically, I was explaining, you see the senses, we are having the senses, right? So the soul, Atma, does not come into contact with this material world. He does not perceive the material nature. He is in this body, and how he perceives the material nature is through the mind. And how the mind is the thing that connects to the senses. See? So let's say we have senses. The sense of seeing is connected to the element of fire. Right? The sense of smell connected to the element of earth. The sense of taste is connected to the element of water. Sense of touch is connected to the element of air, and the sense of hearing is connected to the element of ether, sound. So if you look at all our senses we have here, it has the nose has the element of earth, the tongue will have element of water. That is why it is able to perceive the water. So in order to perceive the element, you must have that element to perceive that element. Just like how you have a thermometer, mercury thermometer. In order to perceive the temperature of the hot boiling, let's say the water is boiling, so in order the mercury you put inside the thermometer, the mercury will become as hot as it absorbs the heat of the water, and then it will give you the temperature. Similarly, the senses now, they are connected to these elements, and they perceive these elements, and they relay this message to the mind. And then if your intelligence will discriminate, should I do this, should I do that? And if your intelligence is controlled by the moods of passion and ignorance, you will do anything. Sankalpa, vikalpa, let's do this, let's do that, let's be absorbed in this, let's be rejecting this. So people are hating this, right? So many people, I hate this, I like this. All these are faculty of the mind. And so it says here that therefore the intelligence is supposed to be the master of the senses. The perfection of intelligence is attained when one becomes fixed in the activities of Krishna consciousness. So again, same thing Prabhupada mentioned. So this is like a video game we are coming and playing in the material world. You know, you're playing the game, you play, then you kill the enemy, and then you get killed, and you take respawn again, try to. But we don't understand that we have to come out of that game. You know, because this sukha, dukkha, happiness, distress, it does not. You can see how the Abanti Brahmana is speaking in this verse. The Brahmana said, these people, so you know the story of Abanti Brahmana, right? He was a very selfish, stingy person, miser, have a lot of money, but he don't spend anything. And then he's very cruel to his relatives, his family, speaking very harshly all the time. Nobody likes him. So he just has a big bank balance. So one day his house got robbed and everything was stolen. And then all his relatives abandoned him. And somehow, by the mercy of the Lord, he renounced everything and he became an Avaduta, just like how Jada Bharat is an Avaduta. He did not have any regard for how people treated him. He just went on worshipping the Lord, meditating on the Lord. And sometimes people used to urinate, used to pass air around him. They used to insult him in so many ways. And you can see how he was not even affected by any of these circumstances or situation. He says that these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress, because the people around him were causing a lot of distress. So he said, see how he's detached from the situation. His mind was not even bothering. The intelligence was so much controlled because he was fixed on the higher taste. So he says, neither the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. So he says, nothing is due to my suffering. Because when we suffer, we usually blame, because of this guy, I'm suffering, because of that guy, I'm suffering. But here he says, rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. So he understands how the mind is the cause of this sukha dukkha. So he rejects. So Krishna says in the Gita, right? Matra sparashashta kaunteya sita ushna sukha dukkha. So he says, even you should be equipoised even when there is heat and cold. Now the weather is very hot. We cannot take it. Sometimes it becomes very cold. Right? So even for heat and cold, you're complaining. Then how we will? So heat and cold is related to the body, right? But sukha dukkha is related to the mind. If we cannot tolerate heat and cold, then how we tolerate the distresses of the mind? Right? If we see like children, they cannot tolerate the distresses of the body. Small things, they'll cry like anything. You know, but they have no problem with the emotional things. But as we become adults, we can tolerate the small pain. We fall down, also no problem. But emotional things become very big thing. You see? So it becomes more subtle. these things. So now we understand the mind. So we might understand the mind and we understand the intelligence. So I mean, let's just recap the verse. So in the translation, it says that the materialistic mind covering the living entity carries it to different species of life, and this is continued material existence. So actually, in the purport of this 327.31, Prabhupada gives a very nice analysis. You can see. Sorry, 326. It is explained from the previous verses that the mind is the product of ego and goodness. So we already discussed this. And that, that the function of the mind is acceptance and rejection, right? Sankalpa, vikalpa. But here, intelligence is said to be a product of ego and passion. That is the distinction between the mind and intelligence. The mind is product of egoism in goodness, and intelligence product of egoism in passion. The desire to accept something and reject something is very important factor of the mind. Since the mind is the product of mode of goodness, it is fixed upon the Lord of the mind, Aniruddha. Then the mind can be changed to Krishna consciousness. It is stated in Narottama Das Thakur that we always have desire. Desire cannot be stopped. But if we transfer our desire to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the perfection of life. As soon as the desire is transferred to lording over material nature, it becomes contaminated by matter. Desire has to be purified. So this is the whole process of Krishna consciousness is this, that we want to purify the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, by engaging in the service of the Lord. And it says that spoken again by Kapiladev, his mother, Ataiva sanishittam prashaptam asatam pati bhakti yogena tivrena viraktya cha nayadvasam. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service with detachment. So we have to practice devotional service with detachment. Very important. Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. Thus his mind and consciousness will be under full control. This is the way to control the mind. And of course, it is not possible. We simply cannot walk and say, I want to do devotional service. I'm going to engage my mind. You cannot do it. There's no way you can do it until you surrender to the Guru, which is why it's explained. What is that verse in that 1087? Yeah, I think this is the one. The mind is like an impetuous horse. So as we described, it's like a horse. That even a person who have regulated their sense and breath cannot control. Those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind, but who abandon the feet of their spiritual master, encounter hundreds of obstacles in the cultivation of various distressful practices. On one law, they are like merchants on a boat in the ocean who have failed to employ a helmsman. It's a very important point that bhakti is not something we can do by ourselves. We need the mercy of a pure devotee. We need to surrender to a pure devotee, and then by his grace, the mind can be controlled. As also in the same chapter, we can see the sages, free from false pride, live on this earth by frequenting the sacred pilgrimage sites and those places where the Supreme Lord displayed his pastimes. Because such devotees keep your lotus feet within their hearts, the water washes their feet, destroys all sin. So, why they're keeping Krishna in their mind is completely absorbed in Krishna. Because they have Krishna, they can give Krishna. Right? So anyone who even once turns his mind towards you, the ever blissful soul of all existence, no longer dedicates himself to serving family life at home, which simply robs a man of his good qualities. So it says that because the devotees keep the lotus feet of the Lord in their heart, they are the water that washes their feet destroys all sin. And if you can take shelter of such lotus feet of such a guru, of course we are fortunate to have Prabhupada, then you can overcome the mind. Then you can control the mind easily. If not, it's not possible. So recently also Nimai Prabhu shared a verse from Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. I cannot show it here, but that verse shows in our group. So he says that we always say when we take Diksha, right, initiation, the Guru takes away the karma. But what is the pramana? So that verse shows that how the Guru takes away the karma. He takes away all your past karma. Now, I was analyzing it further. I was thinking, okay, now he has taken away the past karma. How about the karma I'm going to perform in the future? How does the Guru take it away? So my thought was this verse. Now, if you see here, very famous verse of the Gita, karmani eva adhikaraste ma phalesu kadachanaha ma karma phala heturvur mate sango astu akarmani. So first thing Krishna says, karmani eva adhikaraste. You have the right to perform your karma, your duty. Everybody has the right to perform our natural duty, which is we are inclined to. Ma phaleshu kadachanaha. But we are not meant to enjoy the fruits of those reactions. Why? Because when you enjoy the fruits of your actions, then you have to suffer also the reactions, right? If I enjoy something, then I have to also, in the course of enjoyment, I have to face the consequences of my actions. Just like after the war was finished, Yudhishthira says, I don't want to accept the throne. I want to go to the forest. That is the best thing to do. Because I have committed so much of sin, killing so much of people, billions of people. So better I renounce everything. And everybody, even Krishna says, this is not the right thing to do. Because you think you go to the forest, there is no karma, is it? Okay, you go to the forest, you're sitting down, you are a Kshatriya, by nature. You will see some animal trying to attack maybe the sadhu. You will go around killing that animal. Isn't that karma? And then he says, no, but the forest is nice, beautiful chirping sound of the birds, nice sound of the river flowing. The deers are hopping around. Then Arjuna says, but same time there is a tiger behind the deer. There's a crocodile in that water. There is so much danger in the forest. You're only seeing these things. So we are not meant to give up our karma. We have to perform the karma as what we are. Let's say we are Kshatriya, we have to be a Kshatriya. We cannot run away from that duty. By running away from that duty, we are also entangled in karma. So that's why Krishna was trying to tell to Yudhishthira, and he was not listening until he spoke to Bhishmadev. So Bhishmadev has a very big chapter in the Mahabharata explaining to Yudhishthira how to be doing his duty as a king. And so many things. Also the Vishnu Sahasranam. So we can see that we have to perform our duty, but we should not enjoy the fruits of the duty. So Krishna says, yes, you perform your duty as a king, Yudhishthira, but you don't be the enjoyer of that. You offer it to me. You offer that fruits to me. When you offer the fruits to me, you are not bounded by the reactions of karma. But when you enjoy that fruits, you are entangled. You are entangled by the reactions of good and bad. You can enjoy, let's say you did good actions and you take the reactions of the good actions. Again, you have to take birth, right? You go to heavenly planet, enjoy yourself there. After that is finished, again you come down to the Udvam Gachanti Satvasta, you go down again. Madhya Dishtanti Rajasha. So then, you see, the next line says, so you have the right to perform your duty. You should not enjoy the fruits of the duty, offer it to Krishna. Ma karma phala hetur bur mate sango astu akarmani. And you should not think, ma karma phala hetur bur means what? You should not think that I am the doer of my actions. Because once you say I am the doer, I and mine, that is what? Ahankar. When you say that I am, okay, let's say something you did. Let's say you decorated the deity so nicely. Let's say you perform some actions, but then you take the credit instead of giving credit to Prabhupada. By how you said, no, because of me only this happened. That means you are responsible for that karma anyway now. Of course, this is spiritual things, but still, you should not take credit. You should give credit to yours, like how Prabhupada always gave credit to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? So even when you're doing spiritual activities and then you take credit, then you again become responsible one, because you're acting in the platform of ahankar. So karma rests on ahankar. Because for karma to take reaction, it has to be connected to the I did it. I am the one. That's why Krishna says, Ma karma phala heturbur. You don't think that you are the doer. I am the doer. You just think that you are the instrument in my hands. So when you think that you are the doer, you are getting karma. But now, because you have surrendered to the spiritual master, what is the surrender? There is no more ahankar, right? By right. No more ahankar, mamankar. I surrender myself unto you, my spiritual master. Vande Guru Sri Charana Adavinda. So the initiation process, surrendering to the Guru means I am giving up this ego, false ego, ahankar. It is now in your hands. You tell me what is real ego. What is the... So like that, when the ahankar is no longer there, because why it's not no longer there? It's not because of your power, no. Because ahankar is taken away by the Guru. Because ahankar is taken away by the Guru, karma also not there. So he not only destroys all your past karma, even the karmas you're going to perform in the future, he can destroy, provided you act without this ahankar platform. But if you act with ahankar, disregarding the Guru, saying I am the doer, Prabhupada appointed me as Guru when he never appointed you, that's all ahankar, right? When you try to do something which the Guru never told you to do, that is ahankar. Then you become bounded by karma. Then you have to... Bounded by karma means what happens? You have to face the reaction of karma. So this is how the Guru is so important, and by taking shelter of him, we can control the mind, which brings us to different bodies, life after life after life. And we can also see this happening in the story of Puranjan in the 4th canto. Maharaj, actually even before that, I will show this verse was described. 5.11.3, it was described in this verse that a dream becomes automatically known to a person as false and immaterial, and similarly one eventually realizes that material happiness in this life or the next on this planet or higher planet is insignificant. So this verse was talking about the dream, just 3 verses before. Jada Bharat is explaining to Maharaj Raghugana that we are changing bodies because of karma, and then everything is like a dream. But because we are so attached to that dream, we think it's real. But when you wake up from the dream, you realize that, oh, what is the misery I was feeling, this pain I was feeling is not even real. Let's say I lost all my wealth. It becomes so distressful. But then I realize it's just a dream. Then why am I worried about it? So when we experience, so the point is, similarly, one eventually realizes. The point is this: unless realization is there, we cannot understand. We have so much books, we have Vedas, we have Bhagavad Gita, everything in front of us. But until we realize, we can read. Yeah, reading is good. Some people don't even read. Despite all the facilities, the Guru is there, but until we ourselves realize, we won't take action. Example of Chitraketu. Chitraketu was in distress because he was so rich, right? So powerful, 10 million wives, no son, no child. Angira Rishi came and asked, can you tell me, how come you look upset? Is your wife not listening to you? Are your subjects not listening to you? The ministers not listening to you? Is your treasury going down low? He said, no, I'm upset because I don't have a son. So Angira Rishi tells him that this son is not good for you because it will cause you distress. He said, no, I cannot. I must have the son. If I don't have the son, I will be in big distress. So after telling so much also, he's not realizing. He's still in the dream that I want a son. This is the mind, how the mind works. It wants sankalpa, right? So then Angira Rishi said, I will bless you that you get a son, but that son will cause also happiness and distress. He said, no, what is the distress? Maybe he'll be naughty boy, that's all. We usually, when let's say we see astrologer, this is not good match. We say, no, we will make it, we will adjust according to Krishna consciousness, we will surrender and we will. So like that, Angira Rishi was telling also, don't get the son, forget about it. He said, no, I'll manage, But when the son was born, he was so happy, and the next moment, his son was killed by all the other wives because they were jealous. And when the son died, he became even more distressed than before he had a son. Right? And this time, Angira Rishi comes again with Narada Muni, and again they give instructions. He still doesn't realize. He said, no, I understand what you say is true. I must detach myself. I must not be attached to Sukha Dukkha. But I still cannot. Then Narada Muni, by his mercy, made the child wake up and speak to the father, and that father then got realization. So we are in the same situation of the mind, giving our control to the mind, and the mind is in this dream, going in this dream, going in that dream, going, and we're not realizing. Only the realization came. How the realization came? By the mercy of the Guru, by the mercy of Narada Muni, by the mercy of Angira Muni, he could realize. Then he became a pure devotee of the Lord. Chitraketu, then he became a demon after that, Vritasura. But even in a body of a demon, he was a pure devotee. He was not, he was so distressed in this king's body. But as a demon body, he was not even in distress. Even though he was cursed to be a demon, he happily accepted the curse of Parvati. He said, who cares about this curse? How he was detached, and how he was detached before, and how he's so attached, and how he was detached. What is the difference? The difference is the mercy of the Guru, who helped him to understand the reality, right? And similarly, same thing in the Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. So we see in this verse further, samam achintaya deva prashna para tiritsaya tashyaham hamsa rupena sakasham akamam tadha. Lord Brahma, oh wait, this is not the verse. I think it's 11.3, is it? Sorry, I don't know what is wrong verse. Hold on. Anyway, I don't know I can find this verse, but I think I had the wrong number. So now the thing is, finally before we conclude, we can see also the similar story in the life of Maharaj Prachinabhari. Actually, his name is Bharishat. So Maharaj Bharishat is the father of the Prachetas. And the Prachetas, they are pure devotees. They attain the shelter of Lord Krishna by the mercy of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva acted as the Guru and instructed them, Rudra Gita. And they all became pure devotees of the Lord. But their father, Bharishat, he was so much attached to doing all this fire sacrifice. They do animal sacrifice. And so many animals were getting killed. And Narada Muni came to instruct him, why you are doing this. But the Guru is so intelligent, you see. Because if I tell you directly, don't do it, you're not going to listen. So the Guru, Narada Muni, to make him realize, told an allegorical story of Prachinabhari, which is him only. told him in a roundabout way. So he said, don't do this animal killing, don't do this fire sacrifice. You don't know, if you do one mistake, you're going to suffer as the animal, you're going to get killed, right? So he was listening, he said, okay. Then Narada Muni said, okay, now, there was a king called Prachinabari. Puranjan. There is a king called Puranjan. So Puranjan means what? One who dwells in this body. So we are the Puranjan. We are dwelling in this body, right? So he says how the Puranjan, he was trying to find sense gratification. He wanted to find so much material happiness. He was traveling around the world. And finally he came to this city, which has 9 gates. What is that city? The body. The body has 9 holes, So like that, he came into this city, and then he came, of course, there's a lot of description, how the city, the walls, this place, that place, is all different parts of the body, the analogy. And then finally he meets this beautiful woman called Puranjani, who he gets enchanted by, and he proposes to marry her, and she also likes him. So who is this woman? Is the intelligence, the material intelligence. So the spirit, the living entity, gets entangled with the material intelligence, and because of entanglement with material intelligence, the mind is not controlled in the proper way, and it gets entangled in sense gratification and suffering. So this girl, when she came, she was coming with a 5-hooded snake. The snake was behind. So what are the 5 hoods? That is the 5 air, the 5 pranas, Pana, Apana, I forgot the names, but Vyana, Samana. These 5 air, the Atma is sitting on the prana. So when we die, the prana actually carries the soul to the next body with the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Prana is moving the thing. So this girl was walking, she was coming with this 5-hooded snake, and then she had 10 security guards. Who are they? The Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the 5 working senses, and the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So this 10, we are covered. So we are covered by this. So like that, the Jivatma, the Puranjana, he comes into contact with this material intelligence, the 10 senses, including the mind, and the prana. And they get married and they get entangled in sense gratification. And he goes on enjoying like that for thousands, hundreds of years. And then he goes also outside of the kingdom, and he goes and kills animals. So Narada Muni is saying he went around, he started hunting animals. So actually why he's telling that? Because here he's doing fire sacrifice, right? To kill the animals. He was committing so much of sin, and all the animals were cursing that after you die, we will come and eat you. So like the Narada Muni was telling the story. Then eventually what happens, that city gets attacked by someone called Chandavega. Chandavega, I think is, I forgot we had to see it. So this city gets attacked by Chandavega and Prajvara. Prajvara is when we are dying time, the fever is so high, the body becomes so high, the heat becomes so hot that we cannot tolerate. And then there is Bhaya, there is fear. So if you see the analysis, so like that, Narada Muni tells the story how his city gets attacked, and then he got completely destroyed, and he dies, and he takes birth as a woman. Why he takes birth as a woman? Because he was so attached to the wife. So like that, after explaining the full story, Prachinabari says, what is the meaning of this story? And then Narada Muni explains in this verse. Narada Muni says, formerly it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence. While one is awake or asleep, that intelligence creates different situations. So even while sleeping, we are dreaming, the intelligence doesn't sleep, the mind doesn't sleep, mind is still awake. Being influenced by contaminated intelligence, the living entity envisions something and simply imitates the actions and reactions of his intelligence. So all these are in cooperation of the mind. So this is how we are making plans. So the queen here represents this intelligence, right? Then Narada Muni continued, what I referred to as the chariot was in actuality the body. The senses are the horses. The chariot is the body, this is also explained in the Gita, Katha Upanishad. So imagine the body as the chariot, and who's running the body is the senses, which are the horses that pull the chariot. As time passes, Kala. So Kala also came to attack Something is wrong with it. Kala also came to attack the, Puranjan. As time passes year after year, these horses run without obstruction, but in fact, they make no progress. Pious and impious activities are the two wheels. So the two wheels of the chariot are the pious and impious activity that we do, the pap and the punya. The three modes of material nature are the chariot's flag. The five type of life air constitute of living entities bondage, and the mind is considered to be the rope. So you see, the mind is the rope, and intelligence is the chariot driver. So the chariot driver is the intelligence, and the intelligence is controlling the rope, which is the mind, and the mind is controlling the body, which is the chariot. So the heart is the sitting place of the chariot, and the dualities of life, such as pleasure and pain, are the knotting place. The seven elements are the covering of the chariot, and the working senses are the five external process. The 11 senses are the soldiers. Being engrossed in sense enjoyment, the living entity seated on the chariot anchors after fulfillment of his false desire and runs after sense enjoyment life after life. So this is the story of our lives. This is happening to us in every lifetime, right? So like that, he's explaining what is this Chandavega. Chandavega is the time. So Chandavega attacks the city, So who is this Chandavega? Time. Because in time, no matter how beautiful we are, how powerful we are, the body will be destroyed. So the Chandavega is covered by day and night, the name Gandharvas and Gandharvis. So 360 days, right? The body lifespan is gradually reduced by the passage of days and nights, which is number 360. And then also Chandavega attacking, time is attacking. Also Kala Kanya was attacking. So who is this Kala Kanya? What was described as Kala Kanya should be understood as old age. So Chandavega's daughter was Kala Kanya. She came with her father to attack the city. She is old age. So no one wants to accept your old age. And then the Yavaneshwara, there was another person attacking called the Yavaneshwara, the Yavana Raja. He is death. Who is death? Accepts Jara as his old sister, old age as his sister. So death, so you see time, death, and old age. Kala Kanya, Yavaneshwara, Chandavega, all of them came to attack the city. Right? And the followers of Yavaneshwara, Yamaraj, are called the soldiers of death and are known as various type of disturbance pertaining to the body and mind. Prajvara represents the two types of fever. So we get this, the Prajvara. So many people are attacking the city, you see. Extreme heat and extreme cold, typhoid and pneumonia. The living entity lying down within the body is disturbed by many tribulations pertaining to providence, to other living entities and his own body and mind. Despite all kinds of tribulations, the living entity is subjected to the necessities of the body, mind, and senses, and suffering from various type of disease, is carried away by many plans due to his lust to enjoy the world. Although transcendental to this material existence, the living entity out of ignorance accepts all this material misery under the pretext of false egoism, I and mine. In this way, he lives in the body for 100 years. So this is the whole allegorical story depicted by Narada Muni. And after hearing this story, Prachinabari understands that he is actually doing wrong. He's doing, whatever he's doing is wrong, and he surrenders onto Narada Muni. And by the help of the Guru, this pretext of false egoism, I and mine, was totally destroyed, and he was able to control his mind. Right? So this is the essence of today's sloka about how the mind is working and how it also can be overcome, controlled with the help of the spiritual master. So I think there's nothing else. Yeah. So this is what I want to cover. If there's anything else, any questions, comments, we'll end the class here. Okay, there's no questions. Yeah, you have a question?
How is the intelligence taking precedence of mind?
If it's in passion.
It has this discriminating power. Although it's the product of positive and passion, mind is the product of positive and something that the product of passion can take precedence of.
Yeah, I had the same question. Because we see that intelligence is more powerful than the mind. You know, in the verse Indriyarani Pararau, Indriyabhya Paramanaha. But then here we see it's under the passion mode. So I don't know. Do you know the answer? You know, because it was not in the purport. I read through it.
Intelligence will, as it said, function of intelligence.
Discrimination.
Function of intelligence is to discriminate right and wrong. So the intelligence will inform the mind. Mind is one which will do something for like the minister, decision is taken by the mind. Yeah, if the function of intelligence is accepting the nature of object. So this decision is made by the intelligence. This ascertaining is made by the intelligence and analyze, but the decision is made by the mind.
But if you see the analogy, intelligence is the rope is the rope is the mind, and the driver is the intelligence. So the driver is still controlling the rope, right? But then how the rope will tell the yeah.
It is not informed by knowledge, it will normally accept and it will take wrong decision based on wrong. Right? As correct knowledge, then it will find the right.
But even then, like sometimes we see we have correct knowledge, but then we decided to forget about that and just do it. Like let's say, even as sometimes devotees, we know this is wrong. The intelligence will tell you that this is wrong, but then you decided to forego that intelligence and still do it. So that proves that the mind is still overriding the intelligence, right? No, like okay, see, like let's say simple thing. Let's say we are initiated, we cannot eat outside. Intelligence say, so you're hungry. So mind say, I'm hungry, I want to eat. Intelligence say, no, you cannot eat outside. You tolerate until you go home and cook something because you cannot eat outside food, right? But suddenly your mind overrides, say, no, forget it. Today, one time only, no, let's eat outside. So you are still able to shut down that intelligence and act with ahankar. So I guess that's, I don't know, that's the example I can think of. But also, if you see in the, of course, this is not so related to the question, but in the purport here, the same thing is mentioned. Krishna says the mind is very, chanchalam manahi Krishna pramatib. So atmanam ratim viddhi sariram ratam evava buddhim tu saratim viddhi mana pragraham evacha indriyani hayan ahur visayam steshu gocharan atmendriya mano yuktam bhokteti ahur manisina. The individual is the passenger in the car, the material body and the intelligence is the driver. The mind is the driving instrument. So it's mentioned here. So even though he is the driver, the mind is the driving instrument and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or the sufferer in the association of mind and senses. So it's understood by great thinkers, intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. So you see, the mind has the power to overcome the intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. So I don't know how, maybe because of this, it is in passion, and goodness still overcomes, I don't know.
This sloka, verse number 5 and 6 describes 9 characteristics of mind. This 5 and 6 fully revolves around 9 characteristics
Okay.
of powerful the mind.
Yeah.
Constantly
Yeah.
was the mind.
So to be, we are materially conditioned. To use a material object to overcome Maya cannot. You need something spiritual. You know, that's why you need the help of Guru, because no material method can help to control the mind. It's not possible. Because everything is you're dealing with is in the mode of material nature here. You need someone to which is not in touch with material nature. You know, that's why Krishna says Maya Dakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. See, the Maya does not. Maya is under my control. Similarly, a pure devotee also, Maya is not controlling a pure devotee. Right? So you need that spiritual mercy and strength. Yeah. So 5:11 in the same chapter earlier. The uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects or gives it chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will overcome and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind with the weapon of the service to the lotus feet of spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Do this with great care. Yeah. You very nice. You saying? Yeah.
Next for the insight the problem that we do include picture. Biggest was our on that note, when he said it may learn under the consciousness of mind and mind, even in the physics of devotional service, where this will come, let's say for example, if I were to pass on the Bhagavad to someone, and say, with my a person who just gives about it and says, what were to show up? Between these two places, would there karma still be there?
Yeah. Because there is also devotional service in goodness, passion, ignorance, and pure goodness. Yeah. So if you want to get some credit, see, the ultimate aim of our movement is what? Is priti. You know, prema, love for Krishna. But many of us don't even think about it because we are very far away in one thing. But how many of us think that we only want to develop Krishna prem? Right? That is the goal of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You know, scientifically analyzed by Rupa Goswami, how to attain that. But then we have so many desires, right? In the middle of doing this devotional service, sometimes. So because we have these material desires, Krishna says, okay, you will be a good. People will recognize you as a very good preacher. You'll give very nice classes, and they'll praise you. You'll enjoy that kind of. You're doing bhakti only, but you're wanting to be praised, or maybe you'll be known as a very famous kirtaniya. You will be singing very nicely. Whole world will glorify you. Millions of views on YouTube. But we are very far away from Krishna Prem. So if you want to attain that platform of Krishna Prem, we first have to know what is the goal. Then see, like in Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna actually in the 12th chapter, he qualifies what is Uttama Bhakti, right? What is the highest form of Bhakti. After qualifying what is pure Bhakti, then he tells, okay, if you cannot do this, then this is there, this is also there, this is also there. Different gradation of Bhakti are also there. But we at least theoretically have to know what is the highest form of Bhakti that we have to attain. And we may not be there, it takes many lifetimes, but at least have the humility to aspire for that and have the humility to surrender to the spiritual master. Actually, we are actually thinking too far also to think about pure bhakti. We just have to think how to satisfy our spiritual master. If you can satisfy our spiritual master, that is already a process towards the highest goal. You know. So that, of course, we are in the third canto is mentioned, 329, the different modes of devotional service. But if you look at Madhurya Kadambini, I think. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I think 80, how many? 80 different kinds of bhakti, right? 84. 81. 81 different kinds of bhakti is there. So according to the bhakti we are doing, we will go to that kind of congregation who also does that kind of bhakti. We will not dislike this congregation. We will say that guy is like that. So you see how, so even among devotees, how far we are, how many, So at least here we are lucky that we are following the Srila Prabhupada. So let's try our best to focus on just giving him the credit and pleasing him. Then the ahankar will not act, because still the karma would be there. Yeah. It could be devotional service in the mode of passion, or mode of goodness, right? Where the goal is actually pure goodness, right? Yeah. That's why he says, Anya Abhilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam Anukulena Krishnanuslanam Bhakti Ruttamam. So Anya Abhilashita Sunyam. No other desire but to satisfy the desire of Krishna. That is real pure bhakti. There's no desire of jnana and karma. No karma mishra bhakti, no jnana mishra bhakti. Also Ramandarai, yes. Yes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conversation, Ramandarai, he was telling him, go higher, go higher. What is higher? Yeah. So that is the bhakti of the gopis. So we don't need to even think about that. We just think about how to satisfy Prabhupada and how not to be proud. Because when you're doing devotional service, you will get some pride, Like people will say you're giving nice class, nice dressing you're doing, nice cooking you're doing. And then we take credit for ourselves, then we again get entangled in the ahankar, So that is the platform, very hard to do, but just keep surrendering to the spiritual master to do that. And also other Siksha gurus are there to guide us. Sometimes you get proud, they will tell, hey, you should not think like that, you should not speak like that. So take the advice. Yeah. So
this one was so intelligent in working in the team state, intelligent.
Right.
I'm saying
Yes. It never sleeps. So this is a very tough thing to do, and only human life we can do. And again, if human life we waste the chance and get attached to all these material things, then a very bad news again to come back. So let's take this point seriously, So we'll stop here then.
Is better than Smartnika. Bhakti with mind is better, considered better than bhakti with intelligence.
Okay. Which verse is that? I forgot the verses.
What do you mean bhakti with mind and bhakti?
Smartnika bhakti, like with intelligence, with mind. That's why it is said that the chant with with full mind attention.
It involves intelligence also, no? It's a unit.
Just the mind in that sense. You have used intelligence for that means also what the highest thing don't come out. I don't understand how bhakti with mind and bhakti with intelligence.
Yeah. Same thing. So you see now today's verse, right? We see that is this the verse today? Yeah. So this word here, Antaratma. So Prabhupada, I mean, it is Antaratma means the mind. So you might be thinking, how come so the mind is also called as Atma now? Sometimes body is also called Atma. Because that's how our entanglement is, you see. How deep the entanglement is. Example, now, let's say you have an iron rod. I take an iron rod, which is burning hot, and I touch you. So if I say the fire burnt me, but it's not only fire, it's a fire combined with iron. If I say the iron burned me, it is not only iron, it is iron combined with fire. So it's very hard to say that which burned me now, the iron or the fire. It's a combination of iron and fire. That's how deep the connection is. Similarly, the mind and the false ego and everything, this Atma, the soul, is so entangled so deeply, it becomes identified one with the mind. So both the Atma and both the mind, they are all in complete. Of course, Atma is pure, but he's sleeping. He's sleeping in this illusion, right? If you look at the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, Ramanujacharya, he says that the Atma is compared to the Supreme Soul, Krishna, Narayana. So now the Atma is covered by this body, right? Of course, nobody can cover Narayana. But the example, analogy is given, just like how the Atma is sitting in the body is meant to satisfy the desires of the soul. Correct? If my soul tells I want to do this, the body has to do. Will the body has its own faculty of independence to do whatever he wants to do? No, right? He has to do what. Let's say now the soul says I want to go shopping. The body has to walk. His leg has to move. The body cannot say I will not do. He's meant to do the service for the soul. That is how the body is functioning. So in their Vishishtadvaita philosophy, Ramanujacharya says, just like how the body has to satisfy the soul, similarly the body represents the souls which are meant to satisfy the desire of Narayana. Unfortunately, now what is happening? We also have a body now. We have a soul inside. The soul is meant to be Krishna conscious. So let's say the alarm rings early morning for Mangalarati. The soul wants to wake up, but the body say, no, I don't want to do it. Of course, the body doesn't. I'm giving an example. Body cannot say no, but the same thing, we are denying. We're denying the service to the Lord. Because we are diseased by ahankara. You know? If now our body denies our desire, we'll get, what we'll think, what's going on? Suddenly my hand is moving like that. Doing something like that. Disease, right? Suddenly I have Parkinson, I'm shaking, I cannot stop. That means what? Disease. Similarly, when the soul is meant to serve the Lord, he is diseased. He's not serving the Lord, he's serving Maya. So this is another analogy. Okay. So I think there's.
For the Stupas, actually, they mentioned that mind has got 12 objects, 5 tanmatras and 5 knowledge acquiring senses objects and working senses.
It's controlling them. Yeah.
And plus working that possible.
Yeah.
All these 12 are minds objects. Both mind and
Right. Okay, so we will stop the class here. Huh?
Say the body is medium for our.
Okay, wait, there's a question. The body is a medium for medium of our sense for gratification. Oh, okay. The body is medium for our sense of gratification. But while doing devotional service also, we feel so. How to overcome this? Yeah, so we are not doing, like I said, we are not doing Uttama Bhakti. We are not doing Raganuga Bhakti. We are doing Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti means, okay, I am doing something. Okay, I have to make up Mangalarati. I have to read. Prabhupada said I have to read 1 hour a day. I have to chant 16 rounds. All this falls under the rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti. Because I have no attraction for Krishna to do spontaneous loving devotional service, at least I am trying to force myself to wake up out of duty. Vaidhi Bhakti means I'm trying to do devotional service out of, because I'm duty bound. Or sometimes I'm also doing out of fear, because if I break this principle, then I'll get seen. I know that I'll get seen. So fear. So this is the motivating factor at the first. So until we reach the platform of doing it out of love, we will struggle, because we are still attached to Maya. So that's why we need the association of devotees. We need to keep hearing. The more we are going to hear and hear and hear, Vishamur Guru always emphasize this hearing in his quotes. The more we have the tendency to hear and hear and hear and become attracted to the higher taste of Krishna, the tendency to do lower things will be always there. And it is not that it will go away. Sometimes we will think, okay, for 1 year I never had this bad habit. But maybe a few minutes of being in touch with that bad habit, it can again reignite very quickly. So there's no, that's why Prabhu quoted that verse, 5, 11, 17. Right? Very carefully we have to, it's like a razor's edge. So much of dangers. Right? So he says that it covers please try to conquer the mind by the weapon of the service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master. We have to have a strong weapon. If you don't have the weapon, how you'll go and fight the war with Maya? Right? So obviously in the course of devotional service, we will also fall down. It doesn't mean that we doesn't. But every time you fall, you get up. You hold on to the dhoti of Prabhupada and get up. Don't give up. And also let's say you go back to a bad habit, be remorseful, be resentful about it. Pray for the mercy of the Lord, pray the mercy of Prabhupada. To how to overcome this. Talk to the devotees. So like that, we will keep falling down. That's why we need the spiritual master all the way to guide us, help us. We need the association of the devotees. And we need to try our best to keep hearing about Krishna consciousness. Because Maya, as you get stronger, he will give you more tests, more distraction. Will come like that, will come like this. Somehow, Maya will keep pushing. So you have to also keep fighting the battle. Yeah. Of course, there are many verses to show, but this is the main concept. So anyway, we will stop the class here then. Jai Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Nitai Purp.